Nice to welcome you today. My name's Donna Schell. I'm one of the team of North of England Commissioning Support Unit and working on the National Capacity Tracker programme at the moment. I'm particularly interested in the supporting of the Southwest region on the use of this tool. Welcome you today, joined by my colleague Kath Ruxby. Kath, over to you.
Hi, and great to be here. Thanks for the invitation. So I'm Kath Ruxby and I'm with NHS England and Improvement Southwest, and I'm part of the Southwest Integrated Personalised Care team. Within that, lead on palliative end-of-life care.
Thanks, Kath. So one of the sectors that the National Capacity Tracker supports is the hospice care sector, and we're very fortunate in being able to be joined by 3 hospice care providers and senior members of their team in sharing their experience of the capacity tracker. I'm going to kick off with a kind of invitation really to you to invite you to share a little bit about your organisation and how you and your responsibilities and how you use the tracker in your daily kind of routines, etc. Karen, should we kick off with you?
Yeah, certainly. Thank you for the invite. So my name is Karen Tudge. I'm the Assistant Director for Patient and Family Services at Dorothy House Hospice, based in Wiltshire. We cover Baines, so we cover Bath and North East Somerset, Mendip area of Somerset and Wiltshire. So we cover 700 square miles. We're an adult hospice, which I think is important at this stage to say. And I am one of the 2 assistant directors that oversee all of the patient and families sort of services within our hospice. So that's a little bit about me. So how do we use we use the capacity tracker every morning. It's part of we developed at the start of COVID a morning meeting where we routinely met as a group of clinical leadership team to sort of see how we were doing on the day, monitor absences, look at caseloads, and use it as a way of monitoring absence as well, so that we could really keep on track of services and how the services could support each other really. And with that, we then have the data that we input into the capacity tracker. So it enabled us to start, and it gave us a framework to start a daily a meet and a sort of powwow in the morning. So it's been incredibly useful for us.
No, that's really welcoming. And so essentially it was around the capacity of the tool as opposed to the other things that have been added since, I suppose.
Yeah, and as it's developed, we've changed and we've adapted the way that we report in the morning to try and ensure that we are accurately inputting on a daily basis, and that's 7 days a week. So it's a tool that has developed as the needs of the last few years have developed, but with that we have changed the way that we report. But for us it's absolutely used as a way of monitoring and supporting our teams with capacity.
Wonderful. Thanks, Karen. That's really interesting. Sarah, should we hear from you now?
Hi,
your organisation.
I'm Sarah Ward from St Luke's Hospice in Plymouth. We are again an adult hospice. We cover inpatient hospice at home, and the community services across Devon and parts of Cornwall. My role within the capacity tracker is work on developing System 1. So I set up all the reports and guides for the ease of entering the data to the capacity tracker. Again, like Karen, we have daily meetings, which we had prior to the capacity tracker, but have developed it in line with that. So we feel that it's given us a more flexible and resilient approach across our clinical services.
That's good to hear. Good to hear. Thank you. Jane?
Yes, thank you very much, Donna. So my name is Jane Bramby, and I'm also down in the southwest in Devon with hospice care, where we're predominantly based in and around Exeter, covering over 1,000 square miles. We support adult hospice, and we support over 2,800 patients a year. So it's a busy service, like my colleagues there with their hospices. And we have an inpatient specialist ward, we have hospice at home teams, we have community nurse teams, supportive care teams. So I think from our side, equally, we've started having operational meetings every day where we look at things, but it helped us to stop thinking about busyness, and it made us look at capacity. And I think that kind of mindset change was really, really interesting, actually. And then how to record that, how do we record it better? How do we link it with our operational contingency plans? How do we make sure that our clinical data system captures that busyness that which we kind of transferred into episodes of care? So it just made us much more aware of the just of the capacities of all our teams across this wide area.
Thank you, Jane. Can I just ask you collectively on the back of what you said? You've all referred to the importance of capacity and the need to demonstrate your position at any one time around capacity. What about the other elements of the tracker's questions around vaccinations and so forth? Has that proved of any value to you, or is it primarily around capacity? Welcome any views.
I can certainly answer from our side. I think from staffing, it's easier because we know our own staff and we're able to kind of record that. Where it becomes very difficult, and I don't know if my colleagues would agree, is when we start looking at the vaccination status of our patients. We have caseloads of 600 at one time that change every day. So we data share with all our GP surgeries, so we can pull that information, but pulling it and then for us and recording it on a day-to-day, we actually don't do. So we actually do not record our vaccination status on the capacity tracker of our patients, but we do on their data system.
Yeah, got you.
We do record our patients that are in the inpatient unit. So from System 1, you could pull if they've got specific vaccinations from 1, 2 and the booster. We add it to our dashboard, which updates daily. So that's how we are able to get that data for the capacity tracker. I don't know if Karen, you use the same?
Yeah, no, so we're the same. We made a decision absolutely based on Jane's experience that that we decided that we would just report on our inpatients. So we report daily on our inpatients exactly as Sarah described. We're on the basis that the community, the GPs would be reporting their own vaccination status through their own systems. So yeah, so so that exactly as Sarah described.
No, thank you. Well, you've given a really kind of nice summary of how you have been using the tracker over a period of time, no doubt, and how it's kind of trying to meet your current needs, in particular around capacity. Okay, Kath, over to you.
Thanks, Donna. It's been really interesting to hear because you've shared a little bit about how the capacity tracker has offered some benefits, just things around how it's enabled you to all meet and thinking about the business more and about what that capacity brings. But is there any more that you could share that how the sharing via the capacity tracker has offered some benefits to your organisation?
I'm happy to start on this one. Again, I think for us it's really enabled us to bring the clinical and the non-clinical sides of the organisation together in terms of support, and unlike just the clinical aspect, which was about capacity, for this is the joining of the two areas, if you like. If we say non-clinical and clinical, is more about supporting each other rather than capacity, because clearly there is an inability as much to be able to support each other. But I think it absolutely gives you an awareness of what the organisation is managing. It's pre this, we were very much working in silos, so it really has brought it together, and I think that's a very beneficial and positive thing for organisations that have such a diverse range of services. So yeah, that's for us a benefit.
Thank you, Karen.
Yeah, I agree with you, but also I think it's made you realise what the limits are. So even though you're set for so many beds, if you've got the capacity to open up another bed, for example, to support hospice at home and cross-site working, our teams seem to be offering nurses and staff when one team's really short and the other team's not. So I think it does help with that daily conversation of where that support is best needed.
I completely agree, and I think from a clinical leadership side as well, and I agree with you, Karen, bringing everybody together. It's been really good to do that and understand each other's worlds and busyness more and capacity. And I think what it's also done is it helps to feed into some local meetings that we have on a daily basis with our single point of access teams, our NHS teams. So we do record it first thing in the morning before we go to those meetings so that we can update the CCG and local NHS teams about what our organisational capacity is. Do we have an inpatient bed? Have we got some capacity within our hospice at home teams? What does the community nurse team feel like at any one given moment? And especially recently, whilst we've been so hit by COVID across our staff. So that's also been good to look at then our own capacity. We know what we offer, but is that still true at that one moment in time?
It's really helpful. It's really helpful just to reflect on you mentioning about sort of not working in silos and an opportunity to come out of that. And when you're under a lot of pressure, which it has been and continues to be since the beginning of the pandemic, it's a challenge to be able to bring your head out above the parapet of busyness. Thank you.
Thanks, Kath. You're clearly kind of ambassadors, if you like, for the use of the tool. I suppose I'm interested in whether you are the data inputters or whether your team colleagues are. How do you deal with the demands of entering the data in terms of the frequency that we're asking of it, but irrespective of the frequency, it is an expectation placed upon you, and some of those expectations are daily expectations. How do you manage that? What are your tactics?
Do you want me to start? So I think it's about having, for our organisation, we have champions, which I'm a bit so one of those, and knowing we report on it 7 days a week. I put a post-it on my computer, so on my, literally to remind myself every day that I need to do it. I have a reminder that comes up on my computer as well. It's that practical bit of when you are really busy, having that moment to think, oh my gosh, I need to update the capacity tracker. So I do it first thing in the morning, sets herself up for the day, and I can do it on my telephone very quickly, and I can do it on my computer very quickly. So I think from my brain managing the capacity and making sure that I update it, then I just have those little reminders for myself. And then our clinical leads update it at weekends, whichever clinical lead there is there. So that's that from our side, the practical element.
Yeah, thanks, Jane. Do you have someone that covers you?
Yes, I have a colleague who covers me. We cross cover each other, and then there's another team, about 5 or 6 of us at weekends who are on call, clinical on call, so they update it then, so we can pull upon any of those if someone's on leave.
Is it fair to say that a number of people within your organisation would be absolutely familiar with the tracker, but just a certain small group would be familiar with entering the data on it?
Absolutely.
Wonderful, thank you. Sarah?
Yes, we're the same. Initially, it was just me doing it while I set everything up and changed the guidance so that it was easy. I think the key is simplicity, and if you can make it easy for the clinicians that are not so IT techy, that they can enter data as long as they know where to go and what they're supposed to be doing. So we do have a small team, and on our daily meeting every day, we say who's going to complete it that day. And I monitor it as well to make sure that it's being done. So
wonderful, thanks, Sarah. Karen?
Yeah, I think we learned for the hard way, in the sense that we had a very small team of us that were doing it at the start. There was 3 of us, particularly one person, and then he went on leave, and we all sort of floundered a little bit, really. So we have absolutely learned from that. So we now we allocate the person in the morning who's going to input the data into our daily report, you know, our operational reporting on Teams. That person then is responsible for doing the immediate inputting onto capacity tracker, and then at the end of the day, if there have been any changes in terms of absence or increased numbers of admissions we weren't expecting, or vice versa, then we would then update it at the end of the day. So, and we devolve some of that responsibility across all of our leadership teams. So it's a very nice sort of who would like to do it today, and at the weekends there's a very clear process for our clinical coordination centre to update, and they now have all the, you know, they've got everything they need to do that, so all the processes are in place, so it works really well.
Yeah, I think when you're familiar with something, you keep on top of the task, and it's giving you something back, because the important thing is that you're able to see and realise the benefits of that. Then you're more inclined to, of course, you know, work on the contribution of it, I suppose. Lovely.
I think it's fair to say that, you know, with time and practice comes confidence, and I think we still have some people within our team that are less familiar with it, but will do it and will absolutely take it on, but I admit that they're not the most confident when it comes to IT. But it's an easy system. It takes 2 minutes to do once you've got all the information you need, so it's absolutely part of the day-to-day working now.
And training new people, new recruits and so forth, if that's embedded in your processes, then that certainly helps to transfer that motivation, I suppose, incentive. Thank you. Kath.
Thank you, Donna. And I think it's a sort of a bit of a seamless link in terms of thinking about developments and next steps, and enabling the capacity tracker to really be the best it can to support you and your organisation. What thoughts do you have about how the capacity tracker can help you and your organisation in the future, from the context of how you've shared what you've shared today, from it being about bringing staff together, thinking about not working in silos, thinking about organisational benefits? What could you share that might support future developments? Go, Sarah.
Yeah, I would like it to be more patient visit focused, rather than just individual patients for hospice at homes, just to show the real demand that the teams are under, because you can do multiple visits for one patient, but that doesn't get captured on the capacity tracker at the moment. And it would be really nice to see, I don't know if it's possible for reported, like organisation across the region, so all the hospices that are using the capacity tracker, that we could see the comparison of where we fit, and yeah, be really interesting.
That's some useful points there. I think they're, sorry to interject there, Kath, but Sarah, the whole kind of value of starting to extend it to better meet your needs is certainly on the horizon, I suspect, you know, because I think it's absolutely crucial that you start to kind of get that direct benefit rather than necessarily that indirect benefit. As far as kind of more adaptability around hospice at home and multiple visits and so forth, then certainly I think in due course you'll have that chance to voice that and share that beyond, because I think it's crucial that we kind of capture those express needs. But yeah, some good points. Thank you.
I think there's a couple of things for me. One would be, so we're being asked to, at the moment, to do some reporting for Hospice UK, separate to this reporting, and it would be really nice if there was some interface there between the two requests, because we're doing at the moment we're doing daily reporting through capacity tracker, then twice weekly reporting through Hospice UK. So and some of the information could be the same, so that would be really, that would save time, and it would be really useful. And then the other thing for me is around the ability to use this data to start to have conversations with locally with our commissioners, to really sort of discuss our capacity and across, as Sarah said, across, you know, locally, regionally, and so we can start to bring in this data to more local commissioning type conversations. So
that's really helpful.
I agree, Karen. I think that's got to be a valuable tool if it could do that for us. That would be excellent. And I think just it is about operational status, isn't it? So it's about us being able to maybe, I do love the fact, as you know, Donna and Kath, of the reporting element of it and the value of being able to pull reports off from a couple of months ago about literally snapshot of our capacity at that moment without having to pull it off a different data system. So for us. And I think we did tweak it, Sarah, about how we relate our teams to episodes of care, which I said earlier on, which for us was really valuable. So when we set our status and our capacity and availability, we did look at that in episodes of care. So I think I think the capacity tracker could be tweaked in all those ways, rather than having different systems doing different things, pull that data off, having one place where we can go, that we can pull the value of that would be really good. Then be able to set our operational status.
Just on the back of Jane's comments then, which again I agree with, the other thing that I get a sense of talking to my colleagues across using it is potentially some of the ways that we are reporting capacity is different between some you know, so having some really clear, you know, like a process, a guidance as to what does capacity mean in relation to community contacts. Is that, you know, what does that number mean? And I think that would, at least then we're comparing apples with apples rather than potentially at the moment apples with pears. So and it's that I think would be really helpful.
Yeah, I agree, Karen. Yeah.
Thank you all. Thank you, Kath, as well. Really kind of welcome your views and feedback, and hopefully kind of over coming weeks and months, then we'll be able to engage with you to start to really inform the future of the tracker and how that can increasingly become part of your daily work. But very much appreciate your time today. Thank you all very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.